Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina. Gorgeous, early Erev spring day. Quick morning Torah. Parsha Tetzaveh. We're in the book of Exodus Shmot, and we have taken a pause from the journey towards the Promised Land and our exodus from Egypt, and focusing on the Mishkan and the Mikdash. Mishkan was this portable sanctuary we carried with us and has the Mikdash in it. And so we prayed to God, related to God in the desert, sacrifices, etc. So as it was set up, and the Torah portion goes deep in detail with various aspects of the setup and the clothing of the high priest and all kinds of stuff. In the first line, it says, in order to light the menorah, the like candelabra that we would put into the middle of the Mishkan in order to light up the area. You can imagine it was a large constructed house, and inside had inner rooms and was covered, and it was dark. So they had light there in order to offer the sacrifices down in its central area. We had to light this candle. It says directly, you should have olive oil, shemen zait, katit, it should be smashed. It should be mushed down. And Rashi comments on this, that the importance that it should be really pure oil. I mean, that's what it says in the Torah portion as well. So remove all sediment, all extra pieces. It has to be really made as pure as possible to be used for the menorah. And then from that, eventually, the Kohen will come and offer light. So what is like the message here, I think? Just direct. We hear during COVID and during a lot of life, we too are beat down. One of the metaphors often brought up in Jewish commentaries is about the Jewish people, sadly, has been beaten down in our history. But all of us as human beings, regardless of background, we've had experiences, certainly during COVID, of being beaten down spiritually, feeling a sense of loneliness, isolation. And life can beat you down. Things happen in life, sometimes out of our control. Instances, difficult people, illness. We get beaten down, not just physically, but on a deeper internal level. What's the message? In the end, that beaten down process, while painful, no one would ask for it, it can produce light. In the end, it can give light not only to the Mikdash, but really to give light to others. And I give that message to say that all of us, when we go through suffering, we really have a choice to make. And it's also in this Torah portion too, about the experience of being strangers. Being a stranger can be a feeling of being beaten down. What are the two classic options? When I've had experience of suffering, of being beaten down, like an olive, I could, God forbid, be so pained by this, traumatized, that even unwittingly, I pass that trauma, or I, emit that negativity of me being beaten down out to the world, out to others, even people I love, even unintentionally. Another option when I'm being beaten down is to look at this not as something I wish for, not something I want. I wouldn't even say it's what God sent to you, but it is an opportunity for compassion. Not only compassion on yourself, to recognize we're suffering, but also compassion on others. I have suffered in a particular way. I find this difficult. I'm crying out to God. I'm asking for friends, community, love, anything, prayer. I feel at moments helpless. I reach out. Everybody's going through the same thing. Everybody, on some level. Different degrees, true. But that actually can build my heart to be even more sensitive and loving, compassionate for others that are suffering. So opposed to taking my beaten down experience and, God forbid, continuing it, my beaten down experience can be an opportunity to say, this is terrible. But one of the aspects of meaning of it is that in my process, I will understand others more sensitively. That my beating down will actually be, in the famous Leonard Cohen quote, is like, where's the crack in the heart? Why is there a crack in the heart? Well, that's where the light gets in. When we go through challenge and go through suffering, it is an opportunity to sensitize us, not only to our own, but to others. And then to do what we can to alleviate, or at the very least validate where other people are at. To look at the world, not as everyone's evil and terrible and trying to beat me down only, although there's challenge, but there's everyone in the world is suffering. Everyone wants to get light out of their suffering. And one way to get light out of it is to give love, to give more compassion, to be more understanding of other people when they're going through their challenges. So come back to the Torah portion. Beat down the Shemen Zayit. Zach, it should be pure. It's not pleasant. No olive enjoys that. No human being either. But if it builds greater compassion, greater understanding, greater awareness, put yourself in the shoes of others who are suffering, and then I can go out in the world and use that love and compassion. That's what I hope from God for me. So I hope God for you. And that's what we can do for each other. From that, we actually will generate light. In fact, God's house needs the light of the beaten olives. Meaning, God's house will be filled with light from human beings when we give off light from our suffering and not more negativity. That's my Devar Torah for this Shabbat. Chavrei, a sweet Shabbat, one where we don't feel beaten down, please God, but we feel we can spread more light, inspired to spread more light into the world of others. For those that are suffering, particularly, I'm holding you deeply in my prayers. Shabbat Shalom. Kol Tuv.